Hi, I'm Parni Jaggi, and this is going to be the second video concerning the works of Charles Dickens while we're doing a series on Oliver Twist, the novel by Charles Dickens. Now, as we covered in the first video, how Charles Dickens was a popular and the most highlighted, the greatest voice of his own times in Victorian England, we still, in the present times, know him as a great painter of portraits of characters. His characters are immortal and also the greatest storytellers of all times to come. So, before we move into one work specifically, let's know a little bit about his literary output. Although he was a well known journalist of his time, but now we know him as a novelist more than anything else. Throughout his career, Dickens published a total of 15 novels, and his most well known works include Oliver Twist in the first place. Oliver Twist, his first novel, follows the life of an orphan boy living in the streets. And this book was inspired by how Dickens felt as an impoverished child, forced to get by on his wits and earn his own keep without the care of anybody else in the world, not even his own family. Now, as a publisher of a magazine called Bentley's Miscellany, Dickens began publishing Oliver Twist in his installments between Feb 1837 and April 1838, while the full book novel was published in November 1838. And he even continued showcasing Oliver Twist in the magazines that he later edited, including the Household Words and All the Year Round. And the novel was extremely well received in both England and America. There were readers who were enthusiastic about this novel, Oliver Twist, and they eagerly waited and anticipated for the next monthly installments. Then we have another important work by Dickens, which is A Christmas Carol. Now, this book features the timeless protagonist Ebenezer Scrooge, a curmudgeonly old miser who, with the help of ghosts, finds the Christmas spirit. Now, Dickens penned this book in just 6 weeks, a very, very short span, beginning in October and finishing by Christmas in December. And this novel was intended as a social criticism to bring attention to the hardships faced by the poorer sections of England's society. It was a huge success and sold more than 6,000 copies after publication. Readers in England and America were touched by the book's empathetic emotional depth. So much so that one American entrepreneur reportedly gave his employees an extra day's holiday after reading this novel. But despite lots of literary criticism, this book remains one of Dickens' most well known and beloved works. And it is also considered pivotal to his body of works that it set the tone for his next coming novels. Then we have another important work by Dickens, David Copperfield, which is also autobiographical, is known for its character portrayal, and this was the first of its kind. In two ways: one, it was autobiographical, and secondly, no one had ever written a novel which simply followed a character through his everyday mundane routine life. From May 1849 to November 1850, Dickens published this book in monthly installments and later published it as a novel. Now, in writing this, Dickens tapped into his own personal experiences from his difficult childhood to his work as a journalist. Although this is not considered as his best work, but it was his personal favorite, and it also helped him define the public expectations of a Dickensian novel. The next important novel is Bleak House. Now, this was one of the dark writings of Dickens following the death of his father and daughter and his separation from his wife. Dickens' novels began to express a darkened worldview. In Bleak House, that was published in installments again, he deals with the hypocrisy of British society, and it was considered as one of the most complex novels to date. Another important novel is Hard Times, which actually takes place and highlights the idiosyncrasies of the industrial towns in England when they were at the peak of economic expansion. Published in 1854, the book focuses on the shortcomings of employers as well as those who seek change. Then another interesting story we have in the form of this novel, A Tale of Two Cities. Coming out of the dark novel period in 1859, Dickens published this novel, a historical novel which takes place during the French Revolution in Paris and London. And he published it in the periodical that he himself founded all the year round. And this story focuses on the themes of the need for sacrifice, the struggle between the evils inherent in oppression and revolution, and the possibility of resurrection and rebirth. Now, the next novel, Great Expectations, which is actually my personal favorite, was published in serial form from December 1860 to August 61, and then in the novel form in 1861 October. Now, it is widely considered as his greatest literary accomplishment. This story actually, which was Dickens' second story to be narrated in the first person, focuses on the lifelong journey of moral development for the novel's protagonist, who is an orphan boy again, Pip. With extreme imagery and colorful characters, the well-received novel's themes include wealth and poverty, love and rejection, good versus evil. Now, among the other novels that he published, we notice that soon after the publication of Oliver Twist, Dickens struggled to match the level of its success, and he published several novels like The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby, The Old Curiosity Shop, and Barnaby Rudge. Another novel, Little Dorrit, a fictional study of how human values come into conflict with the world's brutality, belonged to the darker period of his writing. His novel, Our Mutual Friend, published in a serialized form, analyzes the psychological impact of wealth on London society. Now, apart from the writing of novels, many of his works have been adapted and re-adapted for movies as well as for stage plays. And more especially like A Christmas Carol, which was repackaged in various forms over the years. Hollywood introduced another twist to the author's celebrated holiday work with the November 2017 release of The Man Who Invented Christmas, starring Dan Stevens as Dickens and Christopher Plummer as his famed fictional character of Ebenezer Scrooge. So, we see Charles Dickens as journeying through a journalist to a great novelist and a great storyteller. And I have seen several serials and movies based on his novels, which form a very interesting watch. So this was a brief overview of how important his works are even today. And from the next video onwards, we'll be taking up the detailed synopsis and analysis of his novel, Oliver Twist. So stay tuned for the next videos. Thank you for now.